And we just want to ask the industry leaders from the different regions, what they see as the most common industry requirements that they see today regarding vehicle license plate and data collection. So, it's more on that side of things, and you guys have lots of experience in this. So I think, and I'm going to ask one at a time. So, we can start with Tobias, we can go Shabelle, and then go to Heino. And specifically in your regions, which system architectures do you see, namely cloud, edge, on-premise, or hybrid solution, do you see being most commonly used in your region, and why?
Yeah.
If you want to go, sorry, Tobias, you can go first, and then Shabelle, and then Heino.
Okay. So I would say from a historical perspective, a lot of deployment has been on-premises deployment, but we really see the customers moving more and more to the edge for a couple of different reasons. So from my perspective, working quite a lot in public environments, we always try to, and I'm primarily working in the Nordic region, but we're working outside the Nordic region as well. But when it comes to privacy and laws related to that, the bar is set quite high. So for us, in a lot of different use cases, we try to put as much as possible on the edge to limit the access of video. So if it is cameras that are main purpose doing recognition of license plate, we want to deploy the analytics on the edge. We want to not enable video access for any users that shouldn't have any access to it. And in this case, maybe none should have access to live video functionality, but they still want a tool to make certain that they could help monitoring all those end devices and make certain that the system is reliable and that it is operating at a high capacity. So we're seeing both. I will back down to say, depending on the use case, but we see for many general use cases, it moved more and more to the edge.
Okay, and from a European perspective to us, do you see in Europe that there's been some more adoption on utilizing sort of cloud and edge as a combination?
Yeah, I would say that the European Union is big, so it's very different from country to country, and there is not one clear answer to that. So I would say depending on which country or countries you're looking to, but I would also state that we see more and more end customers combining traditional CCTV cameras for other purposes than only traditional security-related purposes. And in those cases, they are more and more integrated with the IT infrastructure of the company. So it comes down to reduce bandwidth allocation and the storage and those type of more infrastructure points as well. So I'm not a clear trend that everybody in Europe is moving to more edge, but in some regions, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that. Shabelle, I have some experience of working in your region, so this will be a very interesting question for the Middle East.
Yeah.
What do you see as being the most commonly used nowadays? From the architecture perspective, and where do you see the shift going towards?
Well, in Middle East region, cloud-based CCTV generally restricted due to regulation. So we don't see a lot of requests coming to cloud, but the most common deployment is more on-prem. Sometimes it's combined with edge architecture, as Tobias mentioned, to reduce, to optimize performance and reduce bandwidth. The best is to go with hybrid model, and sometimes it is used, sometimes no. But it's always preferred. But always also the foundation is to be on-prem to ensure compliance, because due to some regulation here, if you don't meet compliance, you're out of the game.
Yeah, and that'll always be the first decision maker for you. Regardless of that. Thank you, man. Heino, Africa-wise, what do you see? I've obviously lived in South Africa, so we do certain things for very different reasons from the other regions.
Absolutely.
What do you see?
Absolutely.
And what do you see?
Africa is quite creative, so we always have creative things, way of doing things. But there are still some old legacy analytics service that's in the market, but we see those actually dying out, and it's all becoming edge-based analytics these days, especially now that we can have large processors, big processors on the actual edge doing AI analytics. We see a massive shift whereby now we can actually generate a lot more different metadata from the edge. For instance, the camera AI application that you guys have for our camera. I mean, we can do car, model, make, plate, all of that. Now, all of that metadata has to go somewhere, right? But the question is, what do you do with that metadata? So there's some clients that of course, use this on-prem. They will use that for, I don't know, opening a gate, creating their own little database of red flags or white flags, green flags, and so on. But then also, we also have another side to it whereby we see customers using that data and then pushing that to cloud solutions. Now, these cloud solutions, there's different types of cloud solutions. We've got cloud solutions in South Africa, for instance, that would be for that's linked into the National Police database. So then what happens is, if a person of interest that's on the police database comes into an area, that then gives them their red flag, right? And this is quite scalable as well, because it is now countrywide. So you can scale this quite big. But now also, when it comes to very large deployments and so on, we see a stable but a shift towards cloud solutions whereby they use that data as aggregated data to be able to analyze a large chunk of the actual data and then use that, for instance, for their own intelligence and so on. So as a final answer, even though edge and on-prem is predominant in Africa, the future is a hybrid approach. So there's edge for capture, on-prem for control, and then of course we've got cloud for aggregated data insights, as well as third-party data integration.
It's a very good point, and I didn't think about that because the solution's not really complete until it's gone all the way to the end. So well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was thinking of that part. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that's a good answer. Thank you, man. All right, so and do you see the evolution of AI affecting the decision of which architecture to use best for ANPR systems? Heino, I'll swing the question to you. Have you seen anything from the AI perspective, apart from what we're speaking about on edge, maybe in the cloud side? Is that affecting any decisions at the moment that you can think of?
Are we talking about the evolution of AI, basically, of where it's going?
Yeah. Yes. Right?
So of course, I think AI is a game changer. It's affecting everything. It's changing everything. And there's multiple facets of where AI is being used currently within this whole solution package that I just discussed. Yes, we've got our AI model that gets built for on the actual frame, on the edge, on the actual camera, right? So that's one of the models. But now you've got another side as well, whereby all of this data that gets collected in the cloud, another AI models get built to analyze the data. Let me give an example. You can now build an AI model, right, for the cloud, for all of the data, to be able to look at if a vehicle is coming in and out urban areas the whole time, spending a short amount of time in there, right? And then that same vehicle is going to a bunch of urban areas. So now, this is a red flag. This guy's doing something weird because it's at night. It's not delivering anything. So what is he delivering? So that kind of AI models can be built into that to take the data and do other things for you as well. And of course, within the AI realm, you can now take a lot of data and you can train those models easily and quicker for instead of just creating queries to understand the data.
Yeah, 100%. So, we're seeing a trend towards, so AI on edge and AI on, let's call it the back end, for lack of a better word, but, for your your monitoring system. And 100%, there's many different forms. There's live events that you want to see, as well as I would say, understanding trending data, or even being able to do more advanced searches, which is interesting. Shabal, have you seen any new AI, evolution, affecting the decision for a client whether to go to cloud? I know in the Middle East it'll be very different, so just build a big server, right? But have you seen anything new there?
So I from my personal point of view, I think AI is pushing or shifting towards edge and hybrid architecture more. since cameras now, as Axis have their new cameras, many analytics are on edge, and that's reduced the cost for the end customer at the end from having huge servers with a GPU to run those analytics and AI on it. So it is a combined and hybrid solution more than being on the edge or on-prem. It's more combined. So, and also depends on what the solution what the camera can have as analytics and AI, and what the customer is requiring. Sometimes you can merge them both. Sometimes you can be it's okay to have it only on camera. Sometimes you need a server-based solution. So it always depends.
Okay, awesome. Tobias, have you seen anything on your side which switches the client's decision to use either or, maybe even from a cloud perspective?
Yeah, I would say a little bit where we're working with our customers and what we see a trend going forward is that depending on like every day, almost all use cases are unique in some manner, and especially when it comes to the accuracy. Everybody wants, of course, 100% accuracy, and there are always challenges with that when it comes to analytics. What we see is that the increased capacity within the edge device itself to run more and more advanced analytics and more AI-based analytics, we see that there is going to be quite a lot of improvements. And one of the maybe the most important improvement I see is that with a historic perspective, you need to have the cameras extremely correctly deployed with the right angles to make certain that you get really high accuracy. Now, and that of course puts a lot of effort on the installer. And if you do installations in large scale, the room for error is becoming small. So with the possibility to use AI to have better detection without optimal camera angles is something that we see as really, really interesting and would help with a lot of use cases. Another thing that we see is that, a little bit to Shebel's point before, that it is often a combination of edge, prem, or cloud. In our scenario, it's primarily the combination of edge and cloud. So where we could utilize, for example, if we have an edge analytics are not doing the reading as it should, then we can maybe use another trigger to trigger an event and send those images to the cloud and put some more GPU capacity on it and do a little bit more advanced recognition and getting the number plate and the event that way. So yeah.
Yes, and thank you for that answer. And what we're seeing, the trend this year is that a combination of every little bit and piece. Obviously based on clients' needs. We're seeing the ability to increase on every bit, which is I would say on edge, on-prem, events and being driven from that perspective, and then obviously and trying to understand the data trends. I think the next question, and different regions will be different once again, is on-premise and cloud solutions normally have very different cost models associated. So, and obviously it's either CapEx or OpEx. Do you see this playing a major part in the decision-making process, Tobias? Do you see customers really saying, I'm going to go for a sort of a cloud-based system because I'm only going to pay monthly instead of buying upfront?
I would say both. It's depending which customer types you're working with. There are a lot. If we look in the public area, sometimes there is, different grants that offer specific years, and then they want to take the cost upfront for new solutions. Then we have customers more focusing on the OpEx side and the cash flow side, and there is more prevalent to go with monthly subscription payments. So it depends on which type of customers, but I would say in general with the private sector, I would see there is a very large openness to have more monthly cost and upfront.
And is that versus what you see from the government sector that pretty much wants to purchase it outright and have it as their own system?
Yeah, but we see a little bit of a change on the public side as well, because there is a lot of public procurement, and it's hard when you're working with a public procurement because it's hard to, due to the fact that I understand public procurement is different in different regions, but if there is a lot of focus on the cost side, that the lowest cost solution would win the public tender, there is often a mistake done when it comes to SLA and support agreements over time. So you buy something, but then it actually doesn't really work as you want after 1 year or after 2 years, etc. So we're seeing an openness to be more open to have different type of support contracts or subscription contracts combined with very clear SLAs.
Yeah, and that's obviously a very important factor to look at. Shabal, what do you see in the Middle East?
Well, for sure, the costing model is a key factor here, right?
Yeah.
But since we are limited with the cloud in Middle East, most of the customer invest in on-premises capex model as they own the infrastructure. But when it is allowed, or when cloud or hybrid service can be used, we see a lot of interest in OpEx models. So mainly they reduce the cost, the upfront investment, right? You don't need to buy servers, you don't need to buy networks, you don't need to develop and build your data center, and then you can use those money to pay your internet connection. So that's reduce the cost for them. But always in this region, always it is follow the regulation, the budget, and for sure the long-term scalability needs. So it really depends on many factors in our region.
Yeah, and obviously, most importantly, when it's available, the guys will definitely go for it. So yeah, it's an interesting, very valid point. Heino, what do you see from a shift in an Africa perspective? Do we see clients looking to go for the OpEx model, which generally tends toward cloud, or we see clients still wanting to buy their own systems?
It depends who you actually speak to. My personal opinion is, or what I see is that if you're speaking to the security personnel, right, they want capex. If you speak to the IT guys, they want OpEx because that's what they're used to. So normally that's the factor that we see. Then it also depends on the size of the actual client. Look, there's always going to be a factor where there's hardware. Okay, so in most cases, of course, the hardware gets purchased on capex model. Unless it's like a middle ground whereby there's a client that's doing a vSaaS type of solution whereby they maybe put on a rental agreement and so on. But predominantly it's capex. So with the OpEx, of course, people aren't afraid to go OpEx. I see there's a change whereby, everything we do these days is rental, right? It's rental agreements and everything's subscription based, etc. So the thing is, there's a slow adoption to it. But what I do see is that when it goes to the guys that actually do need, right, to go the cloud type of model, right, because they are so big, like governmental bodies and so on, right, they are the guys that are actually needing it. But they are the guys most hesitant to go that route, whereby they want to have that service, they want to have the control, they want the service on-prem, which is, for me, I think they're scared of cybersecurity and things like that. And I think cybersecurity has a big factor to play with their decision-making when it comes to that.
Yes, and that's a very valid point and something that we haven't raised yet, but I know it's something that's going to come up in the topics just now. And, that's a major, I would say, decision point and maybe something that, we're lacking a bit of education on, is from a cybersecurity perspective on cloud. How safe is it? Tobias, can you add something there from a cybersecurity perspective?
Yeah, I would say we see a large trend that more and more customers are being, more and more aware of cybersecurity, and it's more higher up on the agenda for our customers. So if we look at our more, what's the correct wording, with advanced requirements when it comes to cybersecurity, it's not only on the software platform itself or only on the hardware part of it, the offering. It's like the total solution. So, for example, if we look at our biggest use cases where it's CCTV solutions for buses, for example, then our advanced customers, they do penetration tests of the full solution. So then they test both from the camera perspective, the infrastructure perspective, but they also do penetration tests on our cloud platform and also do code reviews, etc. So the requirements are going up, but it is a lot to think about, but it's very important to have good partner in this spectrum, because we have seen customers suffering with maybe having a good software vendor, but they have chosen cameras that are not compliant with cybersecurity requirements. And then, it doesn't matter because the full solution is not secure from a cybersecurity perspective. So it's important to, when you look from the customer perspective and you look at if you are an integrator or if you're a software provider or a camera manufacturer, you need to have the right partners to be able to ensure that you offer the customer a full solution that is compliant with the latest cybersecurity requirements, and also working actively with it, of course.
Yeah, that's a great point. Everything along the chain needs to be secure. So,
exactly.
For
example, like Axis, from my point of view, are working very, very actively with cybersecurity questions. And if there is an incident with a customer and or with a specific camera model, it's very important for the customer to have the tool to search. Okay, how many cameras do we have that is impacted by this with this vulnerability? How could we firmware update these cameras in an easy way, preferably remotely? And how can we make certain that we address this vulnerability quick and fast? So,
and being open about it is obviously the most important part. Thank you for that answer. That was very insightful as well. Something that I've put some more thought into as well for myself. Thanks.
Yeah.
One of the big decisions that we see nowadays for end customers is the sustainability goals that we see. Do we see a certain deployment model which we think would be most energy efficient when, I don't know, if we're looking at a hybrid type solution? And it's a tough question because no one really knows the exact answer, but are we seeing some form of trends or end customers that are saying, look, sustainability goals are super important for us, and being able to have a more energy efficient type system being super important. Tobias, I know on a bus, the camera draw needs to be very low powered, so Axis is great for that. So, but in general, are we seeing this become a part of a decision maker when we speak about edge cloud, and on premises? Tobias?
Yes, so I can take a use case. It's related to public transport, but it's not in the buses, Clifton. So we have designing a solution for a bus depot, and there one of the requirements and one of the questions to the suppliers was actually regarding electricity consumption and also CO2 impact, but primarily related to electric capacity, because in their scenario, a lot of operators, they are converting from diesel buses to electrical buses. And of course, that puts a lot of strain on the grid. So they want all the available electricity to go to the buses themselves so they could do their daily operations. And they want to have as power efficient component as possible deployed on the actual physical depot in this case. So there's a quite tangible case that it is something that they're being more and more actually put in place and not just wording. It's actually helping the organization.
100%. Thank you, and that's a great example. And obviously not just obviously in vehicle, but pretty much everywhere en route as well. Shabal, what have you seen? You've got plenty of sunshine where you are, right? So what have we seen? Have we seen this become a definitive, deal maker or breaker from, having certain systems energy efficient? And, do you think there's a more energy efficient one? So, is cloud more energy efficient, or, is server based, or what do you see from that perspective?
Well, when you look at the solution, you have to look at it from A to Z, right? If you are going into server-based solutions, that's required to have GPU, which means you need to have different type of servers. Those different types of servers will require more and more power. So that will put more power and more BTUs from AC to cooling the data center, which means that your bill of electricity will come higher and higher. So from point of view, I guess, or I think edge or hybrid tend to be the most efficient solution, since with the new generation of cameras, everything is being developed or analyzed at the source and transmitted to the data center, where a less powerful server required there, and that's reduce the consumption of power as well of cooling. And I won't say it is a deal breaker, but I guess at the end, if you look from if you go back and look from CAPEX and OPEX point of view, it will help support enhancing the customer financial, so he can improve more and have more solution and invest in a better way in his infrastructure. So I guess edge and the increasing of the edge, and with what is coming in the future from AI and solution on the edge, is going to have a more efficiency and will help sustainability for the customers.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. If we utilizing, I would say, the GPU on board the camera, and we're utilizing less GPU in our server side, we're definitely going to be more energy efficient, because we already understand what the power draw from the camera side is. So great point. Thank you. I think we're going to probably go to the final question. I know, sorry.
I have so much to say.
What do you think is the most energy efficient? Seems as though we don't have much of it in Africa.
Yeah, I don't think when it comes to sustainability, it's always front of mind in Africa yet, but it's going there. Myself, I am a bit of a TCO advocate. So when I speak to clients, I speak a lot about the total cost of ownership. Of course, energy efficient comes up all the time, and I'm going to say now to everybody that's listening, edge is the future, and this is where the world is going. If you take, for instance, our most used camera for NPR, which is the P1465 bullet camera, that only uses 7.9 watts, right? I mean, that's almost nothing. That's not charging your phone or having a light bulb on, right? And that already has got deep learning built into it. So I mean, you're using already 5 neural networks, and that's on our previous model, ALPR 8. ALPR 9 that we launched now a year ago, it has got 3 times the processing power. So absolutely, I mean that's where it's going. So as Shabal also mentioned, we're going to have a lot more in the future, a lot more processing power on the edge, right? That's going to be all of the heavy lifting, and then only metadata to the actual cloud where the data is being aggregated. That's absolutely where it's going.
Okay, perfect. So I think that it'll be final questions. Jan, anything to add to that? You good?
No, you're doing well, guys.
Okay, good. Yeah, and I think I'll ask each one of you, from an ANPR perspective and vehicle attribute data collection, what do you think the 3 most important metrics would be, if we're looking at, I would say, cloud versus edge on-prem, what do you think the most important points would be to take a look at to have the best outcome, to be able to say, we're analyzing data well, we actually utilizing as much as we can. Tobias, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is to start with the customer use case, to understand that, number one, what is the data going to be used for, and then from there work down to the actual solution that should be designed. And depending on many different type of factors, but if we have a use case, for example, where it isn't required that you have 100% accuracy. If you have 98% accuracy, that is good enough, for example. And you have also the often you have some form of budget restraints to get some ROI on your investment. So working from, okay, how important is the accuracy part? What is the data going to be used for? And then work down to what is existing infrastructure that is in place that we could utilize. If there is limited existing infrastructure, yeah, then of course it will be best to go for an edge-based deployment. If there already is very large infrastructure when it comes to on-prem servers, on-prem networks, etc., yeah, then maybe it could be a use case where it makes more sense to put more on-prem and less on edge. So I think it always depends on the use case and what is the existing infrastructure and how could we get the best ROI for the customer.
Yeah, 100%. And, also from a usability perspective, how are they going to want to be able to reach that data? So, yeah, important.
Yeah.
Shabal?
Yeah, sorry, just two small things that I wanted to add as well. I think two things that is very, very important as well is that the more you put on the edge, the more you need to have tools and a plan and a strategy to how to make sure that all those edge devices are working correctly and that you are able to help monitoring them and doing remote service to them, etc. Because otherwise you will have hidden costs that will go through the roof. And the second one is to your point with, who should use the data. We see in many of our use cases that there is first a clear use case to use the data for one specific use case. But then as the customer emerge and use this new technology, they find a new use case here, another use case here, but they want the data in total different interfaces than the original one. So an openness and an ability to share the data in the format and the frequency that the customer requires for different use cases, not only the ones they have today, but also the ones they have for tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. I really like those 2 points as well. Thank you. Shabal, what do you see as most important metrics if you had to give, say, 3?
3? I have a lot to say. Well, start by accuracy and reliability, right? How the system will identify license plate and vehicle attributes under different conditions, from camera installation to weather conditions to many things, going into latency and processing speed, processing speed, also critical, right? As some use cases or most of the use cases require real-time results. The uptime of the system, system scalability, integration with VMS or any third-party tools, right? And for sure, total cost of ownership and ROI are also important for the customer, so he can evaluate the value of the deployment. So it always goes back to the ROI, and the total cost of ownership will be the main metrics, in my opinion. You can have a very expensive solution. We could cover all those metrics, but it's very expensive, then no one will look at it. And then a cheap solution will hardly match any of those metrics. It will be installed and everyone will be happy because it saves a lot of money for the customer. So it really, financial are the most important from my point of view, whatever the solution is.
Yeah, such a good point. Managing system health, is part of your total cost of ownership, which a lot of times is not looked at. To reach that other metric, and that's a reliable system, right? So, two amazing points from you guys, based on those very important metrics to be reached. Heino, what are your points there?
Yeah, I think Tobias and Shabal nailed it in terms of the list that they gave of the actual metrics. That is very important. I think one thing that is sometimes an oversight, and I see it especially in Africa, is trust in the solution and trust in the system, right? They must have that, and that comes also in the usability of the solution. because a lot of times, especially in Africa, we do not have, the cream of the crop of the guys looking after these systems. So, I mean, a system must be usable. The data must be able to understand what you see, and then also, be able to action it from there as well. So that's a very big important part, because I mean, you can put the best system out there, right? You can implement it. Okay, if the guys can't use it, it's a fail. So that's a very important part for me.
Yeah, and I suppose simple to read data and easy to get alerts and alarms, and intuitive type software, being really important. I think everywhere in the world. Because, the more time spent on training, etc., also has a cost. So yeah, totally agreed. Well, guys, thank you very much. You've been an amazing panel. Thank you very much, and some very, very very good answers, and some food for thought for me as well. Some things I didn't think about there as well. So well done, guys. It was really good. And I think if we take a look at it, that's where we are on the different types of versions. Jan, anything from your side that you want to add?
Yeah, also thanks a lot. And what I have heard, what I'm taking, is definitely 3 regions with different characteristics, with different influence of, let's say, regulations or things which are requested and needed. Definitely, I see what Heino is used to from Africa will not work in Europe or in Middle East. Like the fact that basically cloud is so much adapted in Africa and then not yet in a public sector in Europe, and totally basically not in Middle East. That's one of the things which is obvious. And I also would say when you look at the solutions, definitely what I understand in Europe mostly it's about prevent like save some money, be more efficient, to control a little bit. When you look at Africa, you're basically really preventing crime. I see the customers, they really need the solution, and they don't look at regulation so much. They just need working solution. And I would say in Middle East, I understand like regulations are coming first. That's like to be really compliant. That's what matters, and everything else, that doesn't matter if you are not fulfilling this. So that's the biggest differences I see. And thanks a lot for your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you. See you. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Just bye-bye.
Thank you. Always happens on a meeting, like I say. So thank you very much to speakers today. We really appreciate it. And to our listeners, thank you for joining in. And it was a super informative meeting. So thank you all, and we will see you soon. Thank you very much.